welcome to my podcast. Judy Howard is making it happen. Are you in a ditch? Change your stinking thinking into intentional reality. A shift in mindset can turn panic into possibility. Move forward when life gets tough with a simple technique backed by neuroscience research. Our thoughts, whether they are positive or negative, shape our lives. The other day, when I was searching for an address in my tiny little smart car, I took a wrong turn and ended up at a dead-end road. And it was a rural road. So I pulled up close to the edge of the road in order to then back up and turn around when, bam, my little car's front wheels dropped into the edge into a deep ditch. And there we were, my smart car and me, which I call my short story. We're hanging half in and half out of a ditch. When I shifted into reverse and stepped on the gas, the tires only kicked up gravel and spun in place. We were not going anywhere. I surveyed the area, looked all around, and there's distant houses off in a distance, and they were nestled in the thick foliage of Oregon on the hillside, and their windows looked like eagle eyes peering out at the ocean below. But there was no one in sight. It seemed I was stranded and all alone. Holy moly. How did I get this? How did this even happen to me? How could I have been so stupid as to drive my car into a ditch? This is going to cost me getting it towed out. Feeling stupid and embarrassed, I climbed out of the car and I slammed the door with lip syncing the song my mama told me there'd be days like this. And then something shifted. It was as if the universe had validated my negative thoughts. I heard my dead husband's voice in my head. He had always been good at pointing out everything that could or would go wrong. This is no laughing matter, he's saying to me in my head. You're not in Southern California anymore. You are all alone. Look around. Look around. He's waving his arm. Look around. There's not a car in sight. And you can bet there's no AAA either to pull you out. I felt my heart sinking into the ditch along with the car. So now, what are you going to do? He asked me. I could see my late husband in my mind's eye. He was making a sweeping motion with his hand, telling me how you can see there is no one to help you. Face it, he said. We are screwed. There he goes again. What is it with this we business? Doesn't he know he's dead? There's no we anymore. And then, as if to prove his point, because I am sure it was him and his critical attitude who had summoned up the next event. A white pickup truck with a water district emblem on the side of the door cruised past, and it didn't stop. That did it for me. The reality of this situation turned to lead in my stomach. I hated to admit it, but my dead husband was right. Even though I had climbed onto this doomsday train with him, still he pressed on, as if he had to drive one more nail into my heart. Even after you get your car out of the ditch, he's telling me, it's likely you're going to have major damage underneath. Of course, he thinks of everything. I was convinced he was right. I was screwed. What should I do? Who can I call? I wanted to cry. How could I have been so stupid? I couldn't think. I hated feeling like this. I'm a positive thinker, for goodness sake. I knew if I continued on this negative path, I was going to get sick to my stomach. Everything happens for a reason. I'll be okay. My lack of conviction, though, did make me sick to my stomach. It was rolling. At some point in life, we all experience situations like this, right? A mental ditch of our own making. But whether the ditch is real or a mental one, as you can see, there is not much difference. If we perceive it as a ditch or an obstacle, it is an obstacle. And I could not see anything good about what had just happened to me. So did you know that when we are confronted with a stressful situation, our brain has this default reaction, and it switches off the area that controls memory and reasoning. No time for that when we're stressed. And instead, it turns on a survival mode, fight or flight. So there I was, stressed out, without the ability to reason. I am like a cat chasing its tail. My negative thoughts are running free rein, past go, and heading directly for the panic button, which will only welcome even more negative self-talk. Now my brain is like in spin cycle of negativity and without the ability to reason. The noise in my head just keeps looping around and around and around, making it impossible to talk myself out of this doomsday attitude that I have. And I am convinced I am crazy, I am stupid, and I am all alone. But I'm not all alone. Did you know anxiety disorders are the most common mental disorder in the world? 40 million people in the United States, that's nearly 20% of adults and 7% of our children, experience anxiety. If we did not learn how to deal with it and reverse our negative thinking, severe depression follows, leading us directly to the final act of suicide, which is the leading cause of death in the United States. Every 11 minutes, someone succeeds in taking their own life. But I'm not here to tell you there is no hope. We do have a choice. We can choose positivity instead. But how? My brain's already rolling around like a crazy person. Our brain has convinced us that nothing good can possibly come from landing in the ditch that we find ourselves in. But luckily, we live in a time when neuroscience is making phenomenal progress in understanding our brain and how it works. Scientists have discovered a technique that aids in reversing negative thoughts so that we can climb out of the ditches that we are, as a society, find ourselves in. I first learned of this technique at my Toastmasters meeting. If you don't know what Toastmasters is, it's an organization which teaches people how to overcome their fear of speaking publicly. Did you know we are more afraid of speaking publicly than we are of dying? Public speaking ranks number one in fear. It's the number one fear. The fear of dying doesn't even rank second nor third. The fear of dying ranks fourth. Research has proven that we can reverse the brain's negative stress-related trajectory that it's headed on. Guess how? by breathing. We need only take 2 slow, deep breaths and exhale. I know it sounds too simple, right? Crazy stuff. But there is solid science behind this technique. Breathing deeply triggers the brain to, guess what? Turn off its survival mode, which in turn then allows our memory and the ability to reason to return. And there are even more advantages than that. Taking 2 deep breaths turns on neural circuits that decrease anxiety and emotional reactions. And at the same time, it increases feelings such as joy and optimism and resilience. So, pretty cool, right? Taking in 2 slow, deep breaths and exhaling allows us brain to consider possibilities and truth that we found impossible to perceive. Taking 2 deep breaths turns on neural circuits that decrease anxiety and emotional reactions. And at the same time, it decreases feelings. At the same time, it increases feelings such as joy, optimism, and resilience. Pretty cool, right? Taking in 2 slow, deep breaths and exhaling allows our brain to consider possibilities and truths